It's time for the Wrestling Observer Extra.
One more time for old time's sake.
With Dave Meltzer, right here on The Law. Live audio wrestling.
And let's go. We're now smoking with the best.
It's hour 2 here on The Law, and we start things off like we do every week, and that is headed to San Jose to speak with the editor of the Wrestling Observer newsletter, who not only was it a bad Tuesday, but it was a Wednesday when the story of the WWE Brand Split hit this week. Of course, Dave, a very, very busy week for you. Now, we've been talking about this the whole show. Brand Split coming up July 19th, the draft on the 11th, separate writing crews, separate rosters. Anything more that we hadn't heard at this point from like Thursday on?
I mean, like the only thing official, like I think that I talked about was that the SmackDown crew is going to do Monday Night House shows, so that both crews will be doing 4 shows a week, and that it looks like John Cena will be the star of SmackDown and Roman Reigns will be the star of Raw. And aside from that, everything's kind of up in the air.
Wow. Do you expect to see them, or expect them to use this maybe as a way to introduce NXT guys, or are they so...
I've got to think that just to make these rosters full, you're going to have to bring in a lot of guys from NXT, and there's a lot of guys ready, so... it's a good time.
But aren't they worried, though, Dave? Because don't they want to keep NXT as almost a separate brand as well?
Well, I mean, there's a balancing act, because you can't take everyone good from NXT or you'll kill NXT.
Right.
But there's a lot of guys in NXT that they need. You know, they need a lot more talent to do 2 brands because, there's really not enough. I mean, look, there's barely enough to do a 3-hour Raw with quality guys now. If and now you're going to take, half the guys away, you're going to have to replenish the rosters. And there's guys like Bobby Roode and Eric Young and people like that are, that have been kind of held off that now will fit in. And, there's a lot of talent out there, and they're going to need more NXT talent. They're going to need more talent. As far as, looking at Ring of Honor guys whose contracts are up, or TNA guys whose contracts are up. I mean, there's all of that they're going to have to be looking at now because they need more talent.
What is the current feeling on the reintroduction of the World Championship?
It's planned. They're planning each brand to have their own championship. Everything can change, but that's absolutely the plan right now.
Now, have you heard any details on how they're going to get there? Last time it was just given to
Yeah,
Triple
that
H.
was terrible.
Yeah, I don't know exactly, but I know that they have a plan, and it's not a handoff.
Oh,
so
thank goodness!
It'll either be a tournament or I presume a tournament. With whoever's on the SmackDown roster. I don't know that, but I know it's not going to be handed to Triple H or handed to John Cena.
And that brings up a good point, Dave. Like, how much do you think they will learn from the past mistakes of the first brand split?
Because they have to, because if they don't, history will repeat itself.
Well,
it was a failure.
Yeah,
you have to learn.
Yeah, but we say that all the time, Dave, about stuff.
I know. It's not doomed to failure, but again, when we look at past history, the first time they did it, it was not a success.
Mm-hmm.
But this was partially forced on them too. You got to remember that. I mean, USA Network is not happy with the SmackDown numbers, and that's a key part of this story.
Let's talk about the ripple effect here, and that is, we barely think about it now, but Impact airs on Tuesday nights from 9 till 11 on Pop TV. WWE is moving directly up against 1 hour of that, going 8 till 10. If you are Impact, what do you do in this situation?
Get another night.
I'll tell you what I'd do at first is I would move back an hour and go 10 to 12. And hope that it works. And if it doesn't work, then I would move days. But I would give it a try, because every time they move days, they lose audience.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't really, it's like it could be a blessing in disguise if you. I mean, you could even go in the time slot you have, but to me, then what's going to happen is you're sacrificing your first hour and then hoping you get a bunch of viewers for your second hour. I would rather, even though the second hour would then be 11 to midnight, I would rather take my chances going from 10 to midnight, right after SmackDown ends, and hope that there's going to be, let's say, 2.5-3 million people who are watching, and even if like 1/5 of them, or go, well, you know what, I'm watching wrestling, let me switch to the other wrestling. That's 600,000 people, which is a lot more than they get, and it won't be that high.
Yeah.
But whatever it is, all you're looking for is an increase over 300 or to stay at 300, because if you move days, you're going to be in the low twos. I mean, that's a reality. So anything above the low twos is a gain, I think, if they can stay on Tuesday. But go in there. If you're above the low twos, then you stay. If you go to 150 or something, then you got to go. That's how I would look at it.
Just one more brand split question here. Is there a plan in place as of right now? Have you heard Shane and Stephanie obviously going to be a big part of this? Are they dividing off with one McMahon keeping control of each brand, or do we see general manager characters show up on?
I don't know.
Show?
I think it's going to be one McMahon on each brand.
Yeah, I think that. Yeah, that seems to be the way they're going.
Yeah. All right, well, let's talk Money in the Bank then. We have 6 out of the 7 contestants, or wrestlers in this now: Owens, Zayn, Ambrose, Jericho, Del Rio. Do we know who number 7 is?
I think it's Cena.
Yeah,
because Cena's got to be in the main event on that show.
Mm-hmm.
We already know the championship match doesn't have Cena unless they make it a 3-way, which they won't. So So unless, or they could do I suppose they could do a Cena and AJ Styles singles match and then throw somebody else in. But I think Cena makes the most sense.
Yeah, and he's had it before. He's been in there before, so
yeah, and he doesn't and he doesn't have to win,
right?
And he shouldn't win. I guess he could. It'd be intriguing if he did, but then it kind of doesn't make sense because if Cena wins the Money in the Bank, then he's got to cash in before July. So yeah, I think it's better to go in there with a heel winner anyway. Money in the Bank's better for a heel.
I think everyone wants Owens to win that one. I think
it'd be my pick.
Yeah, I think it's our pick too, for sure.
Yeah.
We saw a tease earlier today on Bray Wyatt's Twitter account saying, "I make Warriors of the Unwanted for you, Abby." And once again, there's a picture there of a girl in the woods. The Sister Abigail character has been rumored for so long. Is this the tease to that?
It sounds like it. I mean, it's been talked about for a long time of doing that. So I know that it's. But it's one of those things where it's got to be the right person,
and that's Mouth and I were just talking about that off the air.
Who would it be?
I'm looking at developmental and any talent in NXT and such. And
who would it be?
I don't really see anyone.
You would want someone from NXT. There's. It depends on what you want. Do you want someone who's an athlete? Do you just want someone
who's a character?
It's a character piece. I feel as though like someone, like the Rosemary character of TNA.
Right.
She plays that part very well.
There's Daria and Sarah Lee, who's probably not ready. There's Alexa Bliss, who, that is probably is ready and one of the people that they would want to bring up maybe. I'm trying to think who else.
Alexa Bliss is a Wyatt. That just seems like
I don't know about that. That sounds weird.
She's so attractive.
It could work, actually.
They'd really have to do some makeup work with her, that's for sure, because she is very attractive.
Dave, Adam Rose is no longer with the WWE. Conveniently, it was posed that he asked for his release this week.
Yeah.
Convenient.
I think it was I think that it was pretty inevitable after the arrest, and then it came out that there was another police incident in March, with domestic, violence thing, that he was going to be he was never going to be brought back. I mean, they don't put up with that. Plus, he's got the 2 strikes, and then he complained about the second one, and everything was working against him.
And what about Ryback, Dave? I mean, it sounds like they've just sent him home, and are they going to have him sit out his contract, or
sit out his contract, or they could release him, one or the other, and neither would surprise me. But as I can't say right now because I don't know if something's happened in the last couple of days. But as of the middle of last week, I know there'd been no contact at all, and everybody was just going under the assumption that they're parting ways. Just a question of is it going to be at the end of the contract, which doesn't have much time left, or and probably will be because it's just it's smoother to just let the contract go, rather than because if you fire him early, could there be some illegal thing, unfair termination or something? But when the contract goes, the contract goes.
Does he have a lot left on his contract, or?
But as far as time, I mean, he's got. I don't know the exact time frame, but it's like a month or 2 left.
Oh, okay, so it's not a lot.
Much.
Right.
Because the whole big fight came because his contract was running out, and they were negotiating a new deal, and they were just very, very far apart. And him and Vince had a talk, and they were just hundreds of thousands of dollars apart on a price. And then also he had his ideas of what
Right.
he wanted, which you probably read. And,
Yes.
And Vince wasn't going to go for any of that.
No.
And there were other demands that he made that Vince was never going to go for. So
Yeah.
he was. Yeah, I think Vince just kind of said, "Hey, look, we're not doing business this way," and he went home.
See you later.
It is funny, though, if you look at the time that you have guys like Cody Rhodes and Wade Barrett and Ryback no longer want to be with the company. At the time of a brand split, this would have been where they could have got more
It's
television
true.
time and programs to benefit them in their careers.
It could have helped. It could have helped all three. In theory, it should have helped all three, especially Ryback. I think. Barrett. I mean, I've always been high on Barrett, but they haven't for whatever reason. Because he talks really good and he wrestles well.
He's tall.
He's tall. He's tall. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is where they lost interest in him. I don't know if it's the injuries and Vince thinking that he's not worth the investment because he gets hurt too much. And it could be that. Cody. Look, we'll see what happens with Cody. Cody Rhodes Cody Runnels. It looks like he wants to do
Ring of Honor,
the indie circuit.
Yeah,
Ring of Honor, PWG. Yeah.
From that tweet he put out with the list, more than half of it was names from Ring of Honor.
Yeah. I was surprised. I think that I sense, again, I'm not knowing him, I sense that he's got a lot of Drew Galloway in him in the sense,
Right.
like some people when they leave, they just feel they're above it. They're WWE stars. And then some people, just want to go out there and prove that WWE screwed up.
Right.
Ethan Carter, of course, but he was not a big name. But with Galloway,
Right.
Galloway just wanted to go out there and show that he could be a main eventer and a star, and he did. And I think Cody Runnels is trying to forge the same path, and we'll
Right.
see if he can make it work.
Right, interesting.
I did like the development this week. Eden Styles has also been released from her WWE contract and seems like she has something else on the go. So you can tell that these two basically talked about it and found a time that was good for both of them to leave the company.
Yeah, very much so.
It makes total sense.
And one other quick thing, too, Dave, before we wrap. The Best of the Super Juniors tournament going on in New Japan right now. The match with Ricochet and Will Ospreay causing a lot of talk online. Some people totally loving it. Other people like Vader not liking it at all. I wanted to get your thoughts. Personally, myself, for that style of what they do, I thought it was a pretty awesome match.
I thought the match was phenomenal. The thing is, it's just weird to me reading the negativity on it because it's like, I can get, like, everyone has things that they like and don't like,
Sure.
and all that. So, it's not saying like, oh, my opinion is this, so you should like it. Yeah, everyone's got a right to like or dislike it, so that's no big deal. But to me, watching it, the thing is, did it get over with the crowd? Yes.
Yes.
And was it in a bad position to get over? It's two foreigners in the main event in Japan after a bunch of good matches. It's not like who are not main eventers usually. They're mid-card guys put in a main event.
Yeah.
So it's not like they have this big grudge that people were waiting for or anything like that. So they had everything working against them, and they made it work.
Yeah, the fact they had...
And to me, that's the be-all and end-all.
Yeah.
Did it work? The crowd loved the match.
They were chanting. They were
loved
chanting all
it.
those American lines. You never hear the people in Japan chant "This is awesome" and
I've
stuff
never
like
heard
that.
"This is awesome" in Japan, except maybe. I'm trying to remember if they did that during the TNA pay-per-view there.
Oh,
where
yeah?
the crowd tried to pretend that they were Americans. But this one, and the holy shit, and this is awesome. Yeah.
It was amazing. I thought it was quite a big match, and I'm sure a lot of people, when we get down to match of the year at the end of the year, they'll be picking that match.
Yeah, I would be close on it. I don't know that I think it was the best match of the year, but I think that it was pretty damn close.
Yeah.
I'll say that. I thought it was phenomenal. It's weird because, again, I tweeted this even. It's like the negativity reminded me of every generation, when somebody new comes and does something. You're getting some people who just don't want it. And I know I went through that the first time I saw Randy Savage. And, it's like, and he's doing all these crazy, this is flying off the top rope with the elbow, and it was so much more impressive than anyone I'd ever seen.
Yep.
And it was almost like you're just going like, this can't be real. You know what I mean? But you know what? It really was just great. The first time, you probably remember, Dan, the first time you ever saw All Japan Women.
Right.
It's like it wasn't anything you'd ever seen before.
Yeah.
It was much better. So do you go in there and just go, I don't like it because it's new? Or do you go like, oh, my God, we're seeing the future?
Right.
And this match was the future.
Yeah.
I'm not saying every match in the future will be like this because it won't, but the future of the junior heavyweight and heavyweight division is a different style anyway.
That's right.
Dave, we got to say goodbye for this week. I could ask you what's coming up in the Observer, but clearly it's going to be whatever happens on Tuesday and or Wednesday this week.
Those are the days.
As well as recapping Raw and such. Any other big stories that you've just gone ahead and written?
No, I've got
Nope.
like almost nothing written as far as like I've got I've got a story on WWE injuries and everything like that I wrote months ago that I'm waiting for a slow week. So
There you go.
I thought I was going to put it in last week,
Well,
and then all of a sudden it wasn't a slow week.
No, it was not. Well, maybe it'll find its way in there this week. But it's WrestlingObserver.com is where our fans can find you, and we'll talk to you next week at this same time.
Okay, have a great week.
You too. Dave Meltzer, WrestlingObserver.com.